Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Unapologetically Audacious podcast. Boy, do we have a treat for you, and will you ever be inspired? So, a quote that I've heard recently is, "Your life will never get bigger than your best thought," and we create the ceiling for our life. And I have someone here who is doing an incredible job at raising those ceilings. I'm very proud and honored and excited to have you, Alexis Tessier. You are the visionary, the co-founder of the Ultimate Destination Wellness Spot for Women, Club Well in King City. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I have been talking to so many people about having you here and just the excitement around this conversation. So before we dive into so many amazing things of this conversation, first tell us, what is Club Well and what inspired this vision? How long has it been in the works for?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clubwell was kind of a vision I had years ago. I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is, for those who don't know, polycystic ovarian syndrome, years ago. And essentially what that is it's cysts all over your ovaries, and it can cause delays in your period, infrequent periods, and it can ultimately lead to infertility, weight gain. And I was having a very difficult time coping with having PCOS. And I was not met with a lot of solutions from my physician. And it was extremely frustrating. I didn't find any communities out there to support me on this journey. And it just made me think, why isn't there a place that exists where women can get focused care? Because a lot of people know that the medical system is very much a one-size-fits-all. And it is not that case for women. Women and men are not alike by any means. So that really inspired what Clubwell is. And Clubwell does represent that women's only space where we can use holistic therapies to try and really focus on the root cause of what a woman is going through, as opposed to treating a group of symptoms, which is what standard medical care deals with. So what we do is we have a fitness studio where we do movement, yoga, reformer Pilates, and we also offer holistic therapies like regression therapy, Reiki, IV therapy, and we also do medical aesthetics, which can help with just overall self-love and, just make you feel better about yourself.
So really, it's a one-stop shop for all things bettering yourself in the best possible way, feeling good. It really is a revolutionized facility for wellness and self-care.
Exactly.
And your story truly is very inspiring. And you always hear, and something like, tell me if you resonate this, no one is more equipped to educate or to inspire on something they've been through, a life that they've led.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Most business owners in general create something out of rather the inconvenience of not having it available,
right,
or just not or it just not being offered at all. So going through that, suffering through that, kind of breeds this almost vision. And really, I believe that everyone has a vision that they can execute, but it's up to them to really understand that that's something that's personal and resonates with them, and they have the ability to really make it a reality.
Do you think that a huge part of your vision is depth perception? So for instance, if you feel like your dream is so out of reach, then that's exactly what it will be. Everyone possesses vision, and like you said, everyone has the ability to execute it, but isn't it really about depth perception and being like, you know what, I can do it. If I consistently do these little things in increments to make it happen, I can make it happen. It is within reach.
Absolutely. I love the book Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
So it's like those tiny habits, those tiny things that you do daily. Sometimes even myself, it feels like I'm not really having much progress. But I remind myself that I do little strides every day.
Yeah.
And then, I look back months later and I'm like, holy crap, I did it. Like, we're here, we're doing it. So it's about taking those tiny little steps. But, you know, like you said, everyone does have a vision. And I, there, you know, there, I was lucky in a way. I was blessed from my father-in-law who believed in me.
Mm.
And he is the one person that, you know, could really make this a reality by investing in me, investing in this vision. Without him, truly, it wouldn't have been possible right now. So everyone has some luck, I guess.
But you know, it's interesting because you said that he believed in you.
Yes.
And that's a huge thing. And it's obviously, it's so close and near and dear to your heart. And there's so much conviction that's attached to that, right? You can feel it in your energy. You can feel it when somebody's so passionate and it's like, well, we don't necessarily know what it might look like, but you believe in it and I can feel it from you. We have
Right.
to try.
Exactly.
And you feel that from people when you know just how much they believe in something.
Yeah.
You believe in it too.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, through and through.
Yeah.
And it's funny because where we started to where we are now, we're actually just about to hit our 1 year open, which is crazy. But it has actually been in the works from a year prior to. So really, this for me is like our 2 years.
For sure.
But 1 year of operating, which will be April 15th, I'm like, wow, people are asking me, they're like, you know, are you exactly where you would have, like, you were planning on being? Like, are you happy with where it's at? And honestly, it's evolved so much because when you have an idea and it resonates with you, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to resonate with everyone else. So when we opened, we had an idea of what people would be looking for when it comes to whole person wellness.
Right.
And boy, has that evolved. I mean, when we first opened, Pilates wasn't even on our radar. We were just focused on yoga and meditation and these very low impact exercises. But Pilates has become huge and people are like, no, I consider Pilates wellness. Like, please, Club Well, bring Pilates to King City. And we did it and it's transformed our business. So from that end, it's been extremely fruitful, but it has evolved in so many ways.
You know, it's interesting when you're able to have that that sort of mental flexibility and being receptive to maybe what your audience base, your customer base is looking for and being receptive. What you least expect could be the most beautiful thing that can come from that.
Absolutely.
And it'll be bigger and better than what you probably imagine.
It's so true. And you know, with any visionary, sometimes it's easy to kind of pigeonhole yourself to say, this is the vision, this is what we're going to execute, and people are going to take it or leave it. But putting yourself in that box, it doesn't really promote longevity in your business. For sure. So that's why, like you said, we had to have that flexibility to say, okay, let's take the chance, bring this in. And it was a good risk because it means wellness to people. Absolutely. And that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting. You mentioned you're coming up on your 1 year, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And it is so successful and so loved. I mean, I love it. You know that. I go there. I love time at you. And so many people close to me have also, you know, they love it too, and they're part of the club. But you mentioned there was also planning 1 year prior to that, and it's interesting because about 2 years ago we were sort of stepping into this normalcy post-pandemic.
Yes.
And that's what I find so interesting. Is that we, like businesses and us as individuals, we really had to adapt to this like unprecedented change of pace with everything. And then you opened a business kind of, you know, post-pandemic when we're sort of stepping into this normalcy, and it's skyrocketed and it resonates and there's passion with it, and it's very, and this is my opinion, but it inspires so much hope, and there's so much admiration in that because it's like a reminder that anything is possible, no matter what, no matter the circumstances. So that's something I just felt really called to tell you, and I've been wanting to tell you because
Thank you for that.
It's so beautiful to see that at a time when so many people lost hope in what could be.
Post-pandemic, it was so needed. I actually remember right before we opened, we were in construction for about 8-9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we're situated right on top of a Shoppers Drug Mart, as you know.
Yeah.
So when we were doing our construction renovations upstairs, you know, sometimes people would just stroll up and be like, what's going on up here?
Wow.
So one day I had a lady come up and she goes, she was masked up. Like it was still very much post-COVID. And she comes up and she goes, you know, what's going on here, whatever. And I tell her, she takes off her mask. It was such a moment. She takes off her mask and she goes, can you show me around? I know it's not ready yet, but I'd like to see.
Wow.
I show her around and she goes, you know, I can't wait till you open. I can't tell you how much I needed this. And she started crying and she goes, I haven't felt like I belong somewhere in a really long time. And I felt very lonely. And I feel like this place can give me that feeling of community again. And she still comes to this day.
Wow.
We have built such a relationship over time. And it meant so much to me. And I knew in that moment that, you know, the stars were aligned. This was the right thing to do.
Wow. Talk about the validation from the universe and just, oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
It was so beautiful. And in COVID, unfortunately, we saw a lot of women's specific spaces go bankrupt, close shop. So a lot of women who actually enjoy being around the company of other women,
right,
when it comes to just fitness alone, they didn't have that space anymore. Because a lot of women don't feel comfortable working out around men for
sure.
a host of reasons. But we saw a collapse of that industry big time in COVID. So it became even more essential after COVID for the fitness portion of Clubwell to flourish.
Mm-hmm. No, that's incredible. And, you know, just that community aspect is something that I find really unique and interesting about Clubwell. So my experience with coming the first time I came, I was like, it was the energy of the space for me. It might sound crazy, but it was the energy and just like the love that was shared among women. And, you know, I find that we hear it so many times. There's nothing more than like better than a woman supporting another woman.
Yes.
But women are the first to also in some ways tear other women down. And it can be toxic, and a lot of women can be very unkind towards other women. And so the one thing that really resonates with Clubwell for me is the genuine love and support that is shared, and something that I feel like there just isn't enough of. And that was one of the reasons I was so eager, like I said in the voice note too, to interview you, because it's so hard to find that community and like where everyone can come. And also everyone is coming, you know, with their own stories, their own beings, they're in different places in terms of their fitness journey, so on and so forth. But you can go and feel safe among other women. You can feel loved, not judged, and everyone is there for the same thing. It's just to better themselves.
Well, I'm so happy you've had that experience, because that is exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
That was something super important to me, and one of my non-negotiables about Clubwell, that we needed to have a strong culture internally with our staff, and in that we could foster a really supportive community of women.
Yeah.
Because it really does all start from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my staff is wonderful. They're incredible women of all different ages and, you know, different backgrounds. And it's really just about celebrating each other.
Yeah.
And our accomplishments. So I'm really happy that the space and the feeling of it has resonated with you. That's what we strive for daily. And we actually, I'm not sure if you met my mom, Julie.
There is someone that looks a lot like you. What I've been meaning to ask you is that your mom is that your sister? I'm not sure, is that an aunt?
Yeah. Sometimes people go to her and they're like, Alexis? And she's like, no, my name's Julie.
Okay. Does she have dark hair, right?
She does have dark hair.
She's so cute.
Yes. So my mom is there pretty much every day. And she is like the positivity queen. Sometimes
it.
I'm like, you're too positive for me. I'm a little bit more like realistic, but she's just like, everything's gonna be okay. And, you know,
Mm.
her energy is like eaten up at Club Wall. Like everyone loves to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she just leaves an impression on everyone. And that is like this whole vibe and everything we try to create at Club Wall is that like it's accepting, it's welcoming, and we want to get to know everyone. I think my favorite part about going in every day is meeting new women and hearing their stories
Wow.
because you never know. You look at someone and everyone makes their automatic judgments, right? You don't really know though where they come from, what's their
Yeah.
story, what have they been through. So it's so interesting to kind of have your judgments that you make just off face value. They're almost like violated daily because when you hear their stories, you're like, holy crap. And it
Mm-hmm.
really puts things into perspective that, we shouldn't make harsh judgments on anyone at face value because, boy, does everyone have a story.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's interesting because I feel like this is something that we're hearing lots about in terms of even just cultivating that community among women, and more people have really stepped into. I feel like you're hearing more about it. Everyone is stepping into their personal development journeys and they're becoming more in tune with who they are and stepping into their
Yes.
authenticity, right? And
Yeah.
with that can come loneliness because perhaps the people that once served you no longer serve you and no longer align. And during that process of getting to know yourself, it can be lonely at times. And it's like, well, where do I find like my soul tribe? Where do I find like-minded women?
Right.
And I feel like Club Well really is a hub for that. And it's almost like you just step into it by accident and you don't even
Yes.
realize,
Totally.
and you find your people.
Totally. People
Yeah.
come in for classes all the time and they're like, wow, I didn't realize that like this was all happening. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it sure is. And if you're passionate about working on yourself and your own, self growth, then this is the place for that to happen.
Absolutely. And to kind of dive in a little bit more on self-growth, in your opinion, like especially as let's say a young woman, what advice or what would you say is the value of really owning who you are and getting to know yourself in order to be the best version of you, the most authentic version of you,
I'd say spending time alone.
which is scary for a lot of people
It
though.
is scary. But I think in that loneliness, in that quiet, is where you can really dig deep and find, those hidden messages. Who are you? What's your purpose here? What's your purpose on earth? And how to fulfill that. The journey is never linear,
Mm-hmm.
but I think as long as you're passionate about that end goal, as jagged as it is, you'll figure out a way. You'll figure out
Mm-hmm.
a way there. But I would say spending time alone, learning to love yourself, take care of yourself. I actually have a piece of advice for that. Yesterday was International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we filled out cards for all of our staff, filled out cards for all of our clients and members to
Oh.
grab, and we just all did little quotes for them, little meaningful quotes. And the one that I decided when I came in yesterday, I said, I'll pick one up too. And I'll see. I'm like, watch, I get my own handwriting, but I didn't. And it said, fall in love with taking care of yourself. And I needed that. I needed that bad. But I think that's my biggest piece of advice is to really, truly fall in love with taking care of yourself. And then through that, you'll find your path.
So you say fall in love with taking care of yourself. I couldn't agree with that more. How do we do that amid the challenges that can come with that, or on the days that you don't feel like your best self, or on the days that you don't want to do the things to maybe take care of yourself? How do we just fall in love with taking care of ourselves?
I think taking care of yourself can be anything that feels good in that moment. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, I got to get to the gym and pump some
Right.
weight. And that means, because some people don't really love that. If taking care of yourself is laying back on the couch and watching an episode of reality TV, do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think taking time for yourself, really understanding that you are a priority amidst all the chaos. Even if you just take a little moment for yourself during the day, I think those are just tiny steps to really taking care of yourself.
Would you say that requires a little bit more of an intentional effort because of how
absolutely.
busy?
Absolutely. It's completely intentional.
And, it's interesting because all of our lives look different. The extent of which we're busy is all different. We all carry things different and so on. How do I phrase this? How do we set not necessarily healthy boundaries, but how would we take care of ourselves and prioritize ourselves by ridding ourselves of the guilt and saying no? How do you do that simultaneously? Because that's a huge part of it, right?
And that's tough. And there's not really one answer to that question. But I think it starts with forgiving yourself. I think forgiveness is huge. We just did a workshop about this at Clubwell, actually. And I actually have forgiveness tattooed on me. But
wow.
I felt for a long time that I had to forgive others. But I realized that through forgiving others, I wasn't necessarily forgiving myself for, things that I may have done in the past where I was disappointed, or just not prioritizing myself for, months on end and not forgiving myself for it, beating myself up for it. So I think it really starts with forgiving yourself for what you've done, how you've treated your body in the past, and just start fresh. I think that's what I would say.
So in a way, then I guess it's like really taking a hard look, looking at yourself without judgment, and then taking accountability for where we can move forward and honor ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
What we can change.
And remember that like little girl or little boy inside of you.
Yeah.
That they would never look at you and say the bad things that you're saying about yourself in present day. Mm-hmm. So remembering that little girl, that little boy, that still lives in you. Mm-hmm. So trying to eradicate that bad self-talk by just giving yourself forgiveness. And it happens to all of us. Like, throughout the day, we negatively speak about ourselves. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I should have said that different. But to catch yourself in that moment and say, okay, stop. That's not the impression I want to leave on myself. Because if you do that enough, you'll just live in that space.
Right. So beautiful. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And to kind of connect that to sort of the entrepreneurial business aspect, I'm curious to hear from you. Obviously you've done this. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of love and conviction that's went into creating this. And clearly you have, a supportive partner, a supportive family, a supportive mother who's got that queen energy, right?
Shout out Julie.
That's right. You've been fortunate to have that love and that support along the way. Did you have any challenges along the way where maybe there were some people who were not always positive or supportive? And if so, what did you do? Like, there are so many people out there who don't necessarily have that love and support. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Clubwell, I think anything that could really change the status quo will have some challenges along the way. We did have our fair share of challenges. What I say to everyone is starting a business is seriously the most real self-growth journey you will ever go on. It makes you look in the mirror every day and like, just where am I going? How am I getting there? What's going on? Like, it's just and you're changing so fast. If I see myself a year ago, I'm like, who is that person? So it makes you grow up really fast. And with those challenges, I think it's just important to be resilient and just accept, that that's their opinion, that's who they are, and you're not going to let it get in the way of what you want. Because if I let every challenge deter me or take me off track, I wouldn't be here.
Isn't it funny how sometimes we can treat our lives as if it's a community project? Where, honestly, it's true, right? Where it's like we're the ones leading our lives, and it's important to lovingly take, the advice and opinions of other people. But just because we can listen doesn't mean we have to hold on to it. And we treat our lives like a community project.
It's totally a community project, especially when you're opening up a business. The amount of unsolicited advice you get,
I can only imagine.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to lovingly give this back to you.
Yes.
In your mind, at least.
Yes. But I have had some great advice along the way. So sometimes I don't mind the unsolicited advice, but sometimes it's like, keep it to yourself.
So thoughts for you on advice then, and this is something that is kind of new that I'm hearing, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. Do you believe advice is something that should be asked for or freely given? Or only given when asked for, rather?
I'm going to go with freely given.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because along this journey, at least, sometimes I was stubborn about what I wanted, what I envisioned Club Wall to be. Without people freely giving me their advice, I don't think we would be as successful as we are today.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you're not looking for advice and you're so fixated on something, it doesn't mean that it's right. So for someone to freely give you advice and to kind of just throw some to the curb that doesn't really serve you, you actually get another perspective. So that's why I'm going to go with freely give. And I freely give my advice all the time. So I also don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's right. No, and I only ask because sometimes, we have free will, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, well, what are you looking for? Are you looking for advice? Are you not? Just something really interesting I've been hearing a lot about when it comes to advice or unsolicited and how the advice is being given, and I guess the perspective and the thought around it. So that's a good answer. I love that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. We do freely give our advice too. So surely we have to accept it when it comes in.
Yes. It doesn't mean you have to really take anything to heart. I try my best not to take anything personally, but
yeah.
If people didn't give you advice just because, you would never really have another perspective to work off of, only when you're really looking for it. And how often do we go around with every decision going, what do you think? Can I get your advice? It doesn't really, it's usually only when you're really making a big decision that you're seeking other people's approval or validation. But just day-to-day stuff, imagine every time, do you think I should, it's like, do you need a supervisor?
Yeah, it's true.
You got to make it on your own, right?
So then maybe if it's a case where somebody is constantly seeking guidance, they just need to put in a little bit more work into themselves to trust that they can make the right decisions. It doesn't mean you can't go to someone.
Yes.
But you're capable, you're enough, you're capable of not needing so much
validation.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that leads me to the next question, actually, is let's say you've got, not necessarily what advice would you give, but to somebody who's constantly having this turn back moment where they have this vision, they're ready to commit, but they don't execute because the negative thoughts kick in, or maybe the resilience didn't kick in when somebody said, I don't know about that. And then they completely, it affected their ability to move forward. What would you say to somebody who keeps having a turn back moment, and how would they get past that to start something? Take control of their life.
What I would say is that no one is ever ready, and
Got
there's
it.
never a good time. And if you're waiting for passion to strike or motivation to hit, you're never going to do it. Because what it truly is the vision itself, the idea of actually pursuing that, and then the discipline to get you there. So you have to have some level of discipline and structure in order to reach those goals. It's not as like, oh, if I just juice tomorrow and I wake up at a good time, then I can really start working on this, new venture. It's like, no, you just gotta wake up every day and make it a priority.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that there's never a right time to start something. And if you truly want that in life, then you need to start today, tomorrow, now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't plan to start next week, next year. Obviously, everyone has, things in their life that may prevent them from starting something right now. But then plan for it. Plan when you're out of those circumstances that you can really dive into this passion project
Mm-hmm.
and make it a reality.
The power of now really is just so incredible.
Yes.
But then there are so many unknowns that comes with stepping into, solitude, starting a business, just bettering yourself, changing your circle of friends. There's so many unknowns that can lead to procrastination. I know for me, I've fallen victim to that as well, where it's
Yes.
like you're so passionate and you have the discipline and you're ready, but because you don't necessarily have all the puzzle pieces or you don't understand how they can fit, you're just like, I can't start. But it's like, just
Right.
start anywhere and learn, make mistakes, grow.
And I think that's the power of having a strong support system. Because, so for myself, I'm not like this, business mogul who's owned multiple businesses. I've done this before. I came out of school.
Mm-hmm.
I came out of university. I studied psychology. And I felt a little bit lost because I wanted to become a therapist. But, after learning about how the college works and all the ins and outs of that, it didn't feel like I wanted to make more of an impact than just, one person or a family. So I felt a little bit lost. And I knew I had Club Well in the back of my mind that I said, I want to get there. I want to do that thing. But I said, I'm not ready yet. So that was what I kept saying to myself. I'm not ready. I'm too young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough knowledge. I've never owned a business. Hell, I've never even been a manager. I'm like, I'm going to start running a business. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But some part of me knew that I was capable, like this little part of me. And that's why I give kudos to my father-in-law, because it really just took a conversation between us about my future for him to say, Alexis, like, you can do it. These skills that you'll learn along the way, like, they're learnable skills. Nobody, is born a CEO. Like, these are things that you learn along the way. And he was a young entrepreneur himself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he knew that, right? Because he had to learn along the way. And it was through his support, the support of my partner, the support of my family, that allowed me to believe that and run with it. But oh my gosh, at the beginning, I was terrified. I truly was. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what if I fail? That was my biggest thing. What if I fail? What if this doesn't pan out? My reputation? What are people going to think of me? Oh my God. It just ran wild. But these are all natural things. So I can totally relate to anyone feeling like they can't do it. But if there's a little part of you that believes in yourself and you've got other people around you that are your cheerleaders, just do it. Just do it. You have one life. Just do it.
A life that is beyond your wildest dreams truly exists beyond fear,
Yes.
and
Love
just
that.
stepping into it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that I love this. Like just your story and just everything. It really does. It resonates so much, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people and just remind them and reignite the spark,
Yes.
reignite their vision and reignite hope.
Yes.
And it's the community part that's really important too, but what if you don't have a community? What if you don't? How do you find it? That is so important.
And I think Clubwell can kind of foster that. So that was a twofold vision, because I recognize that a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't have the support that I do out there. And they could have an incredible vision that could change the world, but without the support of, their family, their friends, their whomever, they just feel like they can't do it. So I hope that for women, at least, Clubwell can be that place where they feel like they're they've got the camaraderie of other women that are striving to do bigger and better things, and that are going to cheer each other on. It's incredible to hear the women in the locker room because it echoes. But sometimes I pass by and they're like, "Oh my God, girl, like you just did so good in the class." Like, and it's just like they're all like hyping each other up. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love this." And it's just like bathroom talk, when you go to a restaurant and there's alcohol and everyone's just like, "Oh my God, girl, you're so pretty." But it just feels like that all the time, every day at Clubwell. So, and we have initiatives that are in the works about really creating that community and making it a little bit more easy to network and to learn about yourself. There's so many exciting workshops coming at Clubwell that are so specific to things that we're talking about today, about really knowing yourself and going after your passion and where to start.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly, it truly is a destination for, however you're walking into it. There's no judgment. Come as you are and just allow yourself to be yourself.
Yes.
Allow yourself to be better. You have the love, you have the support, and most of all, you get to be authentic, unapologetically.
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 I love that.
Oh, I love it. So, question for you. You said that you're a different person than you were a year ago. And surely we evolve significantly. So, who is Alexis?
Wow, that's a big one. I would say Alexis is someone who is resilient. She doesn't care what comes in her way. She will bulldoze over it. She knows what she wants, and she's gonna get it. She's also fiercely positive. Not as much as Julie, but she's positive. And she really wants the best for other people, and she'll do whatever she can do to make that happen, to help women feel better about themselves wherever they are in their lives, just to give them those tiny moments, those tiny pieces of happiness that they can take throughout their day and, hopefully transform their life. And Alexis is a lot of other things that I probably won't say, but
So beautiful, so profound. Yeah. And would the younger Alexis be proud of who she is now?
Yes, she would. She'd actually probably be like, "What? You did it? You're really making an impact like you wanted?" Yeah, she'd be happy.
So beautiful. That's like the biggest thing is if you can look back at like your childhood self and they'd be like, "Holy, like you did that? Like this is who you are now?" Because there are a lot of people that hold themselves back, or they don't, they have this burning desire to be more, to have more, to just, to be more, but they just don't get there.
No.
So it's so beautiful that you've been able to evolve as much as you have and have the impact that you have, know your purpose. That in itself is something that so many people struggle with. And while there was probably so many unknowns along the way, it's like you said, Alexis is resilient, and that really did bring you forth. So truly, like, I know it's not just me, but like it took me 5 minutes to walk into your studio and be like, oh my God. And the energy that I felt was the message and what your vision, what you wanted to cultivate. So it like, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you for saying.
Because it's I don't even know why. It's so sad when you see like people who they're living life and they're not living with purpose, or they're not fulfilled.
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
They wake up every day.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Same shit. Same shit, different day. And it is sad. That's why, like, when I hear the stories of women come in, and I couldn't even believe the workshop we just had. I won't disclose too much about what went on there, but women that were expressing their stories, we're talking grown women, full families. They feel so much guilt for taking care of themselves and not giving their kids and their husbands and their families their full attention.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like they're kind of indebted to them. They're this mother now. They're no longer who they are. All individuality is just out the door. And it was so profound to hear that even in today's society, where there's so much more awareness about, where you can be, that you don't have to be just this mother figure. You can also be a great daughter, a great woman, a great business owner. It's so sad that these women feel so stuck. And that's what I really hope we can change that narrative, that prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is just a part of being human.
Mm-hmm. And kind of just to close the conversation, and on that, I think would be a really beautiful message to take away for the listeners and the viewers today. What would you say to those who are feeling guilty right now about taking care of themselves and have that aha click moment?
I would say that guilt is normal. We all experience it. But the longer you hold yourself there, the longer you fill up everyone's cup and neglect yourself, you're doing the people in your life a disservice. Fill up your own cup first, and you'll be able to help the people you love around you more. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Alexis, well, thank you so much. I have so
you for
much
having
gratitude for your energy, you taking the time to just be present with me. You carry so much love and light, and you emulate that, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
There is no doubt that you are going to continue to be blessed with all the abundance you deserve. And it goes without saying that you've created such a beautiful community, a beautiful business, and I hope it flourishes in more ways than you can ever imagine.
Thank you so much for
You're
that.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.